and welcome. If you're just joining us, we're typing our word of the year for 2021. Our word of the year, we're typing it into the chats, and we're filling out this quick poll. Share the results for fun. How many of you experienced snow this winter? It looks like more people yes than no. Okay. How many of you secretly love watching TikTok videos? What? There's more. Oh, no, yes. Okay. More people said yes. I got a little hooked into that. How many of you felt a little isolated in 2020? 100% of you. And I will say that this LinkedIn platform is a great way for we're all in the right place if we're trying to connect a little bit more. The platform of LinkedIn is a great way to do so, especially remotely in all different ways. And in a lot of ways, using your word for 2021 to connect with people could be a great thing. And I was just curious to hear specifically for this workshop, how many of you have created a basic LinkedIn profile? 55% of you have, and almost half of you have not. That's all good. You don't need to know anything about LinkedIn to be here today. It was just more out of curiosity. So thank you for taking that poll. That was really helpful for us and hopefully fun. Let me advance my slides here. So I am Patricia Woods, Lazarus Center Career Advisor, and so happy that you joined us today. One of my favorite features to show you today is going to be demonstrating the LinkedIn page, the Smith College LinkedIn page to find Smith alums. And I'm super excited that Jason Bauer-Clapp is here with me today. Hi, Jason.
Hi, thanks for finding an old picture of me to put on this slide. That's fantastic. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to be talking with you today, sharing some of our best tips, best suggestions for how to use LinkedIn. Patty, I don't know about you, but I talk with a lot of students who say, I'm on LinkedIn, but I kind of don't really know what to do with it beyond that. So hopefully this will be a good chance to share some ideas right there. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
So our learning outcomes for today are really to understand the basic components of a LinkedIn profile, run a job and internship search on LinkedIn, search for Smith alumni using LinkedIn, and how to follow a company using LinkedIn. We very intentionally chose the title of this presentation to be LinkedIn Quick Tips, just for a couple of nuggets of information. And these nuggets we want to share with you are in these bullet points. And these are what questions students typically come to us with. Each of these sections could easily be an hour long. We could easily talk about the difference between a resume and a LinkedIn profile for an hour, or really dive into what you should say in your summary statement on LinkedIn. But today we're just gonna go over some tips, get you kind of thinking about these, and then encourage you, should you want to talk more, to schedule a one-on-one career advising session with one of us. So let's jump in. One of the most common questions we hear from students is, so what is the difference between my LinkedIn versus my resume? And it is a great question. So there are a few key differences. For starters, your LinkedIn profile gives you room to elaborate and tell a much bigger story about yourself. So in a lot of ways, I feel that LinkedIn is easier than a resume because you can just almost do a brain dump if you're willing to and wanted to share more information about yourself versus having to take a lot of time to really streamline, structure, and target your resume, which is a one-page document. So with your LinkedIn, you can go deeper into volunteer experiences to demonstrate skills, experience, more of your personality. On your LinkedIn profile, you can really get into discussing class projects, You can upload images and documents and videos of you presenting in front of your class, or a document such as a research paper or a presentation you had to give. Those types of things you'd never be able to do on a resume, right? A one-page document. So your resume certainly can't contain recommendations from peers or professors or past colleagues, where your LinkedIn profile has room to do that. Your LinkedIn profile has a section for endorsements and recommendations and much more. Moving on and talking a little bit more about the differences. Your LinkedIn does not need to be tailored to one specific job or industry like it needs to be on your resume. So if you've ever met with us, Jason or myself, in a career advising appointment, we always say, okay, you're applying for this internship or you're applying for this job. All right, let's really look at those job or internship descriptions and pick them apart and look for those buzzwords and keywords and really target your application material to speak that language and highlight that skill set. Well, this isn't the case for your LinkedIn profile. It can really be general and speak to all the different experiences that you've had. Your LinkedIn profile is a living, breathing document, right? It's social media, so you can add to it at any time. And professionals and other students can view and interact with you on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn allows hiring managers, full-time jobs, internships, etc., to actually seek you out, find you, and write to you, versus your resume that might be sitting on your desk or stored on your computer. No one's ever going to find that, right? It might be a beautiful document with great experience, but if your resume is just your resume stored in a Google Drive or in your email, it's not out there for the world to find, which is what's wonderful about LinkedIn. I hear a lot of students saying, okay, I put together a LinkedIn, started my profile, not really sure how I'm feeling about it. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to walk through a couple of basic LinkedIn tips for your profile, and then I'm going to take a break and see what questions have come in. So we're going to look at best practices writing your LinkedIn profile based on the professionals at LinkedIn. And I'm going to go to this handout, your LinkedIn profile checklist. So the 3 areas of a LinkedIn profile that I get the most questions on are the photo, the headline, and the about or summary section. So that's what I'll talk a little bit about right now. The photo. So I highly recommend you that you have a photo. And it's because LinkedIn data says that people with a profile photo receive up to 9 times more connection requests than people without a photo. So that's pretty big. And then personally, when I meet people on Smith campus, or if I go to a workshop, and then later on I go to connect with them on LinkedIn, I notice that there's 10 other people with the name Jason Bauer-Clapp, or maybe 100 other people. So it's really helpful if I have a photo to refer back to and say, oh yeah, there's that professional, polished looking individual I met earlier today. Yep, that's Jason Bauer-Clapp. So we encourage you to do that. And you don't need to have a fancy photographer. You could just have a basic headshot that a roommate takes of you, snap it with your cell phone, and you're good. Then the headline, is the short one-liner that appears right under your name with your profile. So here we're looking at David. His headline is Econ Major and Aspiring Financial Analyst. When creating a customized headline, you want to think about 2 things. First, what are some industry keywords that will help you get discovered by your professional community, and what it is you do now? So for most students, what it is you do now is that you're a student, right? So combining industry keywords and being a student might sound like this: aspiring economist, or student software engineer by day, photographer by night. Or senior at Smith pursuing creative writing. Any of that is fine. So an easy way to get started is by looking at other, searching for your peers, professionals, mentors, or influencers in your industry, and take a peek at their profiles to get some ideas. Moving on up to the summary, which is actually now called the About section in LinkedIn. You want to think about your profile summary as an introduction to who you are, what you do, and the contribution that you make or want or might want to make. It should highlight some buzzwords relevant to the industry you are pursuing. And this is going to help employers find you. Employers have algorithms where they can search for different candidates, class years with specific skills. So if you're noticing that the internship or job that you want to pursue, you're noticing, yeah, most of those internship descriptions or job descriptions say that they are looking for people who have Java and Python and, I don't know, brainstorming skills, then it would be helpful for you to put some of those keywords, skills, or jargon in that About section. So a few minutes ago, I said your LinkedIn is a real general, not industry specific document where you can put in tons of experiences, which is absolutely correct. But here in both the headline and the About section, you can further kind of streamline this or tailor this to refine your story or refine your narrative to make sense out of your experiences, so that when employers do see you, you can sort of discuss yourself in a way that you want them to, in a way that makes sense for them to understand about your experiences. So also your About section is your time to shine. If there's anything, key accomplishments and things you're proud of, you can certainly, absolutely should put it there. So very briefly, I just want to scroll down and say, okay, your LinkedIn profile, you can add lots of different experiences and leadership experiences and clubs and organizations and athletics, volunteer experiences and honors and courses, right? And you can have professors and past supervisors give you recommendations and endorsements. So it's big, and you can certainly do all of this, and much of this can't be on a one-page resume. So so what I want to do is, and I'll stop for questions in just 1 minute, highlight two of our peer advisors in the Lazar Center for Career Development, Diana and Phoebe. They have really clear pictures. I don't think either of these was taken by a professional photographer. Just nice clear pictures, a headline, and then in there, oh, so funny, I got a message while I was through LinkedIn while I was giving a LinkedIn presentation. I'm going to go to Phoebe's, profile. And she has, oh, I love this. She has the open to work hashtag, which is something you can add if you're looking for work to your LinkedIn to let recruiters and hiring managers, employers know that you're actively seeking work. So I see her beautiful picture, her headline, and then I scroll down to her About section. She keeps hers nice and short. She's a senior at Smith, looking for a position in climate communications. And then I'm going to go to Diana, and her About section is a little bit more detailed, talking about her experience as a DACA student. She gives herself a pat on the back and says, look at these awesome accomplishments and programs I've been involved in. Here are some opportunities or in industries that I'm hoping to pursue. So it's really up to you how you shape that About section. What is it that you want employers to know about you and your experiences? Okay.
Let's just take a moment to see if people want to plug in some questions. I just wanted to add kind of one piece to what Patty is offering too is, for me, I think one of the best things that I've found just to think about how to create a headline or an about me section, a summary section, is just to look at other profiles, to look at other people on LinkedIn. And, for those of you who have done that, you may have seen there's really a variety, a diversity of ways that people have shaped their summaries, their about me sections, see what else is out there that you like, be inspired by that, take ideas from that. I mean, that's one of the great things about LinkedIn is, you can take a look at other people and the profiles that they've developed, and really kind of borrow some ideas that work for you. So feel free to do that. A question that just came in, do you recommend writing the bio in first person or can it be in third person?
Such a great question. I don't know how you feel about this, Jason. There's no rule there. It's really up to you. I've seen it effectively done both ways.
Yeah, me too. I've seen both. I would say from what I've seen, the norm, kind of the more common approach within LinkedIn has been first person, a little bit more of the conversational tone. That's what has evolved over time. So again, I don't think that's the rule per se. That just seems to be what I'm seeing more often in terms of how people have approached that. Patty, you too, or not so much?
All of the yes, absolutely. I've seen both. I think it can be both, but I agree with you.
Yeah, and it seems like maybe that kind of matches a bit more with social platforms in general that are more personal, more conversational, kind of less kind of structure and formality in tone of communication. So I think that's part of the alignment that we're seeing there.
Love it. You can also have your about section have some bullet points in it, just a couple of key sentences. And then bullet points of skills or competencies that you want to be known for. Also, I've seen students, I've seen a lot of students, it's actually recommended once you have a LinkedIn profile that you feel proud of, on your resume in your header section where you have your name, your phone number, your email, feel free to then include your LinkedIn URL so that you have your one-page targeted resume, which is a marketing piece. And if that employer that you give your resume to wants to learn a little bit about you, you have your LinkedIn URL up in the header, and they can further dive in and see additional experiences that weren't as relevant that you didn't include on your resume, but then they have this other way to learn more about you. Thank you. Sorry, Jason, I can't see the message box. Okay, so moving on, switching gears a little bit now. This is going to be very exciting. Okay, we're going to run our first demo, and this is going to be how to run a job search on LinkedIn. So I'm going to pop onto LinkedIn. And everybody with me at the top of everybody's screen. I know my feed looks different from everybody else's. That's okay. What does stay the same is that we're going to go to the top of our screen and we're just going to go to this icon that says jobs. Easy breezy. Everybody has that. Again, what I'm going to do is full-time job search. So in the keyword box, it says search by title, skill, or company. So you can actually type in, if you knew that you wanted to be a production assistant or, so a title, you can put that in. If you knew that you wanted to use your public speaking skill, you could type in public speaking. Or if you knew that you wanted to work at a company, you could type in the company name. Right now, I'm going to say, something with advertising. So I'm going to say advertising because I'm interested in advertising. And just by typing that, we see there's over 77,000 jobs. I'm looking at this number on the top left. But I'm specifically starting with being interested in working in advertising in the Boston, Massachusetts area. So now I'm going to put in geographic preference. And then I'm going to look over to my right and click on this tab that says all filters. This is fabulous. It's very similar to the filter search in Handshake, but it has a few more interesting features. Here we're allowed to say, we're allowed to click in the entry level box for your experience level. And then you can also further scroll down and type in whether you want it to be full-time, part-time, internship, etc. So I'm going to do full-time. You could also click or unclick if you wanted it specifically to be remote. You can choose the suburb specific location within Boston. So I'm gonna say right in downtown Boston. And then I was in the field of advertising generally, so they're asking me a little bit more specifically about where and what function I want to have within this field. They also offer some titles and, interestingly enough, salary. So you can fool around with this, but I just want to click on show results for the for what I included in the search. And this is a good number. This is I received on the top left, it says advertising Boston based on my preferences. I have 73 results. So that's a good number. I feel like that I can quickly scan through and click on any one of these and look over on the right and see the job description, learn a little bit more about what the role seeks, etc. And it also says, notice 2 people at Wayfair also worked or attended Smith College, and you can look at that, and I'll show you how to run that search in a minute for what companies have Smith alums. Okay, so pretty easy breezy. And I will take questions in a couple minutes, but I'm going to reset my search and go back to the search box. And what I want to do is just kind of show you the same thing. It's just a remote internship search. It's the same, it's really the same thing. We're going to go to the jobs tab. And then I'm going to pretend that I am a student at Smith looking for an internship remotely in the field of public health. So I'm going to type in public health. And then I'm going to go to the location and I'm going to click, I'm going to type New York, New York, New York. I'm going to go to all filters on the top right. And here I'm just going to say, I'm going to click on the experience level, internship, job type. I could click on both temporary and internship. I could actually click on volunteer if I was specifically, if I might be open to those as well. Who knows? Those volunteer gigs typically are unpaid, and potentially those could be companies you could reach out to and create a praxis opportunity. Then I'm going to click on remote, and I want to be right in the heart of New York. So I'll do New York, New York for the location. You can further, again, filter it based on the job function, salary, etc. I'm just curious what I have so far. And as I can see, okay, wow, not too many specifically. I got 2, but I can also go back into my filters and say, I want to open it up to more than just internships right in Manhattan. I'm open to, Queens or Brooklyn or what have you. So we can further filter that search. So it is very easy to do. And then the steps for applying are fairly intuitive. As you can see on this, it says it says the compensation in all the descriptions. This is a paid internship. And you can follow the prompts for applying. I am going to move on to something a little bit different. And right now I'd love to show you how to search and find Smith alums on LinkedIn. So we're going to go to the search tab on the top left, and we're going to just type in Smith College. And we are going to arrive at the Smith College LinkedIn page. And over on the left, it says home, employer, about, and then it says alumni. I'm going to click on alumni. And this is a tool that, this is my favorite tool to show people. It's super fun. It says that currently there are over 34,000 alums Smith alums that are on LinkedIn. And we get to look at this funky chart, and it says, okay, you can search for them based on where they live, where they work. You hit this next button and you can search for alums based on what they do, what they studied, what they're skilled at, and how I'm personally connected on LinkedIn. So you can do a number of things. You can say, gee, I don't know what I'm going to do with, I don't know what to do or what I could do with a sociology major in the Springfield, Massachusetts area, right? So I might say, I'm going to click on Springfield, and then I'm going to click on what they studied. So I'm looking for Smith alums. Smith alums that live in the Springfield, Massachusetts area who studied sociology. And as you can see, it's already limited the search to from however many thousand to 119 alumni. And you can see here on the right, this column based on that search. Here are all the different places that people with a sociology major locally went on to work. And then those individuals are listed below. And you can further filter that search again based on their skill set, etc. If I were a Smithy and I'm a senior and I would love to work for Walt Disney, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, second semester senior, I want to work for Disney. I want to start talking to employees at Disney. I wonder if there's any Smith alums that work there where I could start chatting to them about the culture of the organization. I would go to where they work and click on this add button and type in the name of the company that I'm interested in working for. Oops. So I'm going to click on the Walt Disney Company, and I see there's 8 alumni that are currently or have worked with the Walt Disney Company. Here are where they live now. And I can scroll down and see who these individuals are and what their titles are at the Walt Disney Company.
Can I jump in? One other quick nuance about this.
Yes.
So keep in mind that for LinkedIn, when you're doing an alumni search like this, it will also pick up current students. Okay, so that's just part of the way that system is set up, where you might do a search based on some of the filters that are here and find someone who happens to be someone who is in a class that you have, and you might go, what is this person doing here? It's just the way that LinkedIn kind of considers anyone who attends or who has attended is what comes up in their alumni search. And for Smith, so that could include people who graduated from Smith undergrad, from one of the graduate programs, people who attended for a while and then moved on to other things. So it's kind of a big, broad definition of alumni. So it's going to be worthwhile when you're doing the search, to kind of look at individual profiles too, and you'll see graduation years and that sort of thing. You'll get more detail about those individuals. So just a kind of a nuance to keep in mind when you're using this search.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's super, super helpful. Actually, let's pause and any questions so far, Jason?
Yeah, there was a question that came up just a moment ago, going back to the about section of if you live in a smaller town, should you list that as a location, or maybe, a larger city close by? I suggested through the chat that sometimes it's valuable to list the nearer metro area as kind of your location, but Patty, certainly if you have a perspective on that, please jump in.
I echo what you're saying, Jason, but to the student who posted that, how important is it for you to stay? What are you looking for? Are you hoping to stay within that specific town or city, or are you open to the move or to the commute? That would be, I'd want to learn a little bit more about how because you can frame it in a way that nobody needs to know. For example, I'm in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and if I'm looking for another opportunity and I'm open to something, maybe commute, maybe potential move, I might say it's not far-fetched to say for me to put in LinkedIn that I'm in the Boston region, right? Or the Pioneer Valley, as we call it. Because I'm open to something broader. But if I'm really hoping to stay in the city of Holyoke, I would as much as possible highlight that city and try as best as possible to keep it as focused and small scale as possible, if that makes sense. So what happens if, wow, I just found that person that, Patty, you just pulled up someone on the Disney webs, the Smith College LinkedIn that works for Disney, and wow, her profile looked amazing. I'm thinking about working at Disney. How might I best connect with her? Being that we're still in COVID times and many of us are still remote, alums have been. We've heard feedback from students and alumni looking for other opportunities that now that more than ever, much like all of you said in the beginning of the poll, people want to build communities, stay connected, help each other during these times. So it's LinkedIn has some information on it it's all personal to you, but it's public. And sometimes people say, oh, is it okay if I was looking at her profile, or I'm looking at a lot of those profiles are going to see, the person's going to see that I'm looking at them. And that's what we want to have happen. That's why we have LinkedIn, is to look at each other's profiles, reach out. It's a living, breathing document. So do reach out. And the way that you want to do that, we have some information on the Lazarus Center YouTube page. Yes, we have a YouTube page, and more information, sample ways to reach out on our website. But here's one short example of reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, and it's actually within the character limit. LinkedIn gives you a character limit of a certain number of words, and this actually fits in when reaching out to someone for the first time. And it could look like this. You could plug this in. This is someone who is looking for a praxis internship, and right away in her contact information puts out this email. Yours could also say something like, hello, Susan, I came across your information on LinkedIn. I'm impressed with your career path at the Walt Disney Company. I'm an undergraduate student studying psychology and want to learn a little bit more about what it's like to work for the largest entertainment conglomerate organization, what have you, in the world, and hear a little bit about how you navigated your path from this to this, and hear a little bit about your advice and suggestions for someone who knows they want to work in the field of entertainment, but not quite sure where they can use their skills of brainstorming and creative writing within Disney. Would you be so grateful to spend a few minutes speaking with me over Zoom? So it could be something like that, and we're happy to speak to you a little bit more about tailoring your message. The last thing I want to do, and then looks like we'll have plenty of time for your questions, is just how to follow a company and set up a job search alert. This is really helpful when you know you're interested in working for a few different companies and you want to make sure that you're reading all about them and staying in the know, so that perhaps if they post a job or if you do get an interview, you will have been reading all about their company all along, and you'll be fresh and for your interview to speak a little bit about what's going on with them. So I'm just going to pop back over to LinkedIn. So on the top of my screen, it's the search box, and you're just going to plug in the name of a company that you might want to follow, or a company that you're just generally interested in. So I'm going to click on Amazon. Here is their fabulous LinkedIn page that tells you a little bit about, you could click on About to learn more about Amazon. You could click on jobs or people who work there, events, virtual events that they might be having or videos. So right away, if I was interested in working for Amazon, I might click this tab, Follow, so that whenever I'm on LinkedIn, if Amazon has posted an article, I'm going to see it. It's going to be in my feed, much like if any of you follow a certain person on Instagram or Facebook. Once you like the company or person, they start to show up more in your feed, so you're more in the know. For Amazon, I'm going to click on Jobs, and then I'm going to see that there are tons of jobs at Amazon. So maybe I'm going to click, I'm going to type in intern, and I might be looking for a internship with Amazon. And there are still, it takes me to a new page, and there's actually quite a few. There's 433 internships posted, but you'll notice on the top of the screen, it says worldwide. You could further filter this to put in your geographic preference where it says worldwide, or you could click on remote and find out how many positions. And it doesn't look like there's many. I'm going to unclick remote. Let's see, let me go to reset, sorry. Going back home, I'm going to go to our fabulous Amazon. And back to their company. This is good. We'll show you a second time how to do it. We're going to go to jobs. We are going to go to intern. Search. Oh, I didn't do intern. That would be helpful. And maybe I'll do Boston, Greater Boston area for internship. Okay. So now we see it's limited a lot. So there's 14 opportunities. I did say intern, and as I'm seeing the first position here does say software development engineer, and I'm wondering if that is an internship, and it doesn't look like it is. So sometimes you sort of have to filter through, and you'll see the second and third and fourth look like they are internships. They have intern in the title. And then back to thinking about if you want this to be remote or not, I'm going to click in the all filters tab, and I'm going to scroll through, and I'm going to click on remote. So this is asking the system, out of these 14 jobs, are any of them remote in the greater Boston area? And it doesn't look like they are.
Patty, can we circle back a little bit to making connections with people that you find on LinkedIn? Because a question did come in about that a few minutes ago, about how to best ways to reach out to someone. Maybe it's someone who you've met briefly, or just kind of a real quick connection, especially if it's someone at a place where you would like to work, or maybe are applying for a position. You have some thoughts about how best to approach that?
Yes, we love that. So if you're applying for a position, or even have applied for a position, and then you go on LinkedIn and you find that there is a Smithy currently working there, we absolutely encourage you to reach out. It's the power of that person who is currently there in the company that can assist. You can imagine that an employer gets hundreds of resumes for any particular job. And if someone within the organization can ever say, oh, I just spoke to Patty, she's a senior at Smith, she's really interested in this position, she seemed really curious and I had a great conversation with her, that power of the person, that the person you network with, can go a long way. So it's super helpful. It's also helpful in terms of just learning a little bit more about the organization, to get a sense of if you want to work for them. And so you can ask important questions that would be important to you to learn about the company and the job before you begin. So a couple just best practices when reaching out to someone you don't know. You never want to ask for a job or an internship. You want to be very respectful of their time and ask for, 15 minutes to half an hour just to hear a little bit about, and then be specific. You don't want to say, I just need your advice on finding a job, right? That's too broad. So you might say, would I be able to, I see that you're working at blank company, the company that you're interested in, and I'm really excited to be applying there. I see that you work in the role of X and would just love to learn a little bit more about how you navigated into that role, and suggestions and advice you have for newbies trying to get into that, that industry, and see where it goes from there. So short, sweet emails that are all about advice and asking for advice and suggestions, versus asking for your resume to be forwarded to someone. That may be a result of a conversation, but that's not something you ever ask for. Yeah.
And I would add to that, I think it can be really effective to be specific about what you're asking for when you do this initial outreach. I mean, if you put yourselves in the shoes of the recipient, and they get a message that they're not really clear, who is this person and what do they want from me, they're less likely to take action on the message. So if you're reaching out to someone and hoping to have a conversation with them, it's okay to specify that, to say, here's how we've connected in the past. If you have, here's how I found you. Would you be open to, as Patty said, 15, 20-minute conversation? You can cover a lot of ground, and that's not such a long time period that it's hard for people to schedule sometimes. But it's okay if you want to have a conversation, ask for that conversation and make it easy for them to say yes, and that you're seeking to learn more about their experience, their story, you're seeking their advice. So be specific with your request, be focused with your request. And as Patty said too, to personalize, meaning try to include in your outreach communications about why you want to talk with that person. If it's a message that feels like the same text could have been sent to 50 other people without any changes, it's going to be less likely to get responses. So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, sometimes it's helpful to think about, if I was on the receiving end of this message, what would I make of it? And that can sometimes be helpful. By the way, this is the kind of thing Patty and I and our colleagues at the Lazarus Center, other career advisors, we have a lot of conversations with students about this process too of, okay, I found someone I want to reach out to. Here's what I'm thinking about doing with that outreach. How's it sound? Can you help me dial that in? And, sometimes, okay, someone said yes, they're willing to talk to me. Now what? How do I approach that conversation? All of this sort of stuff, we're happy to talk with you ahead of time and just kind of give you some outside perspective and feedback on those things so that you make sure you feel like you're comfortable, you're confident with how to do it. That's part of our role here is to support that. Another question that just came in, are we generally reaching out to alums in the industries we're interested in for the purpose of seeking advice and learning about their experience?
Are we? You absolutely may. It's a great idea to do so. That is actually a main reason or purpose behind LinkedIn. It's a great way to find people to connect with, to seek advice and learn about their experience. So just a quick example of that, one of my friends, when we were much younger in college, she did not know what she wanted to do. She was a psychology major, thinking about counseling, very creative individual as well, didn't quite know exactly what she wanted to do. And one of her advisors, I'm not sure if it was a professor or a career coach, just suggested she do some networking through what was then the alumni database. And now we have the alumni database and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a little bit more living, breathing social network these days. But that alum was introduced her to the thought of combining the creativity and the counseling and her love of working with children into a job that she had no idea even existed, which was a child life specialist role, which is a really amazing job for the right person. So when you talk to alums about and you tell them, hey, listen, I love these, or I feel energy when I'm in this environment, I love using these skills, and where do these skills sort of fit in within your tribe or your organization or your industry? And they say, oh, it fits in these ways. And you might say, wow, I never even heard of that role. So it's just a great way to learn. Is this something that you need to be doing? I think that was sort of in the question, is this something that I should be doing? It is very helpful. And it is helpful, yes.
By the way, too, in general, we've heard from alums that they love to hear from students. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know some people feel kind of hesitant to do some outreach. People feel like, well, I don't want to be intrusive. I don't want to bug people or anything like that, and I don't want to take advantage of these connections or anything like that. And I would say, don't worry about those types of things. I think we've heard some really fantastic stories of conversations that have happened where the alums get as much out of it as the student making the request do. They get different types of things out of it, right? And look, I think it's wired into people in general. We like to be helpful when we can. Many alums love to hear about students' experiences, right? Maybe they haven't reconnected with campus in quite a while, and so they're interested in what is life like at Smith now? What is it like in current times? All these types of things. So these conversations oftentimes are more than just pure businessy kinds of conversations, if that makes sense. So great. And so one person just chimed in and said, I met with an alum in my field yesterday. It was a great experience. Yeah. And fantastic, right? Think of it as first person primary source research and really driven by your curiosity of, think about the value of talking with someone in a field you already know you want to go into, great. Or maybe a field you're like, maybe that's a thing for me. I don't know, but more of from an exploratory standpoint, to hear from other people about what they do, how they got there, what it's like. I mean, a great question asked during one of these conversations too is, so you've been in this for a while, what what can't we on the outside see about the work that you do? What do we need to know about that? What do you like about your role? What don't you like about the role? But then certainly to pivot it to say, okay, so if I'm trying to get my feet wet in this field, if I'm trying to, look for a starting point, where should I be looking? Who should I talk with next? If I'm trying to get noticed as an entry-level candidate or an intern, what would you suggest I make sure it comes across really clearly in my applications? What are some details I should put on my LinkedIn? Those kinds of questions that, maybe only insiders can really give you rich data on. That's the point of these kinds of conversations. So we really encourage this kind of activity, and it doesn't have to start when you're a senior. It can start earlier.
So I know, Jason, you had chimed in earlier on the chat with our YouTube page. We have great videos on career conversations. How to have a career conversation. We have the sample emails on how to reach out, but we're happy to talk to you more about this. So you can check out those videos. Here's the link for our YouTube page. Also, as mentioned earlier, these are just some high-level overview, quick tips, but LinkedIn Learning is free for students, and you can gain access to LinkedIn Learning, which was formerly, if you remember, heard of the Linda tutorials. LinkedIn Learning is a free resource on all short videos regarding the profile, how to run a job search, how to connect with folks through LinkedIn. And that LinkedIn Learning tab will appear on your LinkedIn on the top right as a button you can click on to gain tips and feedback and have all questions answered on that. So I encourage everybody to gain access to LinkedIn Learning while you're a Smith student. And then to further schedule appointments with any of us, you would just log into Handshake and create a Zoom appointment. So I want to be respectful of your time, and thank you so much for being here today. Can't wait to help you more with connecting with alums, connecting to peers, creating your profile. And yes, Happy New Year. Any last minute words of wisdom, Jason?
Use LinkedIn. It's a great tool. And feel free to reach out to us in any way that we can support you with your search or your exploration. That's what we're here for.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Great to see you.